It's 8:37 on WMAL, where Washington comes to talk. It's Brian Wilson, it's Larry O'Connor, and on the line now is Dr. Andy Harris, also Congressman Andy Harris. It's like Andy Harris, Republican MD. Good to have you, Congressman. How are you?
Good to be with you this morning.
Listen, we wanted to talk to you about the VA thing, and I'm looking at your resume here, and I find out that you worked at the Lock Raven VA Center in Baltimore years ago, and of course you're a Navy veteran yourself, and you have some understanding of how the medical system works. Yesterday, the president, after 3 weeks of saying nothing, came out and said he needs more facts. We actually thought he might be moving forward with some reforms, but no, he's looking for more facts. What did you think about what the president had to say yesterday?
Well, look, the president has known, or should have known, for 5 years now that these things were going on, because that's how long it's been reported. We've known about tremendous problems in the VA overall. These problems in the health system were reported 5 years ago. If the president doesn't think it important enough to know what's going on in the VA system, that's his business. I think Americans expect him to know that these problems occur. They've been occurring for years. They're not something he can blame on the Bush administration. The bottom line is his VA administration didn't solve this problem, even though it's been occurring for years. Making up these waiting lists, basically forging waiting lists to comply with the 2-week maximum wait requirement for our veterans to get their care is just, it's atrocious. But it's totally believable within a government healthcare system.
But he said, Congressman, that he's madder than anybody. He's madder than hell about this.
Well, I don't care what he said. I hope he's mad about this. But the question is why he didn't take care of it. I have to tell you that the VA Secretary, General Shinseki, should be fired. There should be numerous people fired. The most interesting thing is that the person who's selected as the replacement for Dr. Petzel, who was in charge of this whole VA health system, actually ran the system in the Chicago Hines VA Hospital, which is another place that had a secret waiting list. So this is a huge problem.
Our guest is Republican Representative Andy Harris of Maryland, and also a doctor, a Navy vet, so you were part of the VA system. And you just started to tread onto something that I really want you to expand on. Andrew Stiles over at the Washington Free Beacon has cataloged all of these liberals when pushing for Obamacare, all these Democrats who pointed to the VA as the model. They said this is the perfect example of government-run healthcare. Paul Krugman said that the VA is a huge policy success story, which offers important lessons for future health reform. Ezra Klein said the VA healthcare system to non-veterans is one of his favorite ideas. He'd love to expand the VA to non-veterans. And Think Progress wrote that a fully integrated structure of government, doctors, and hospitals in the VA provides the very best healthcare system that's the envy of the rest of the country. That's just not true. The VA is actually a real major bureaucratic mess, is it not?
I agree. The VA overall is a bureaucratic mess, and the VA healthcare system in particular has serious problems. Now, look, there are some veterans who get excellent care. The doctors in the VA are good. They're well-meaning, but they're placed in a system that just doesn't work. I mean, the government bureaucracy is not very effective for delivering real quality health care. They make up quality indicators like you have to have an appointment within 2 weeks. And then they game the system. They figure out how to game the system to make it look like you're delivering quality, so that all those liberal commentators can declare, from on high that this is the best system. When you scratch below the surface and you go, wait a minute, we have veterans traveling hours. I have a rural area. I have the Eastern Shore of Maryland. I have veterans having to travel 3 hours when they have a regional medical center right in their town. They've got to go to Baltimore to get care. But we have long waiting times. We have understaffed clinics. It's just chronic, one problem after another.
But Representative Harris, you're in Congress right now because you were outraged at Obamacare. That's what inspired you to run and leave your medical practice and be a full-time congressman, and you probably regret it now. But what is it about this town? Because you get Republicans who are so against Obamacare, but they won't come out and say, the VA health system is a major problem. Let's get the government out of this business and privatize it so the vets can get better service. Is it because of the special interest groups for the veterans that are so ingrained with the VA?
No, I think it's the fact that the VA is a self-sustaining bureaucracy. You've built up a bureaucracy that wants to maintain. Look, I've held for years that we should give every veteran the ability to voucher out of the VA into a private health care system.
Yeah.
Every single veteran should have the choice. Don't make them do it. Give them the choice. But I will tell you, if you give veterans that choice, most of them, I believe, will choose to be taken care of outside the VA healthcare system.
Well, that tells you what you need to know.
Maybe this will be the catalyst for calling for that kind of change.
Well, that is a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, private enterprise, private sector.
Let them voucher out. Give them the choice. Let's be pro-choice about this.
Well, do you think that the House will move on something like that?
I hope that they look at that as the real free market solution to helping our veterans, because again, veterans know that they have long wait lines at the VA. They have to go far away. They're kind of locked into a system that's not very flexible. Whereas I believe that every veteran deserves the right to get that voucher, have a choice of private health care delivered right in their community, no matter where they live in the United States. I just think we ought to give them that opportunity.
Changing topics, we now know that the Democrats apparently are going to participate in the Benghazi Select Committee. Any thoughts about their decision to be involved and how that's likely to go?
Look, they really had no choice. The bottom line is that Americans really want to know what went on. Why that consulate was not secured, even though requests had been made for additional security, and then most importantly, why did the president and Susan Rice and the administration and Hillary Clinton mislead the nation for weeks about the true cause right in front of the election? I think that when people look at politicizing the murder of our overseas ambassadors, I think that they're reviled at that. And I think that I think the Democrats had no choice but to appoint members to that committee. Every committee ought to be bipartisan. I think they realized that if they didn't appoint members, we were going to have these hearings anyway, and the media was going to cover them because, when you subpoena people like Hillary Clinton up in front of a committee, the press will pay attention.
But I've been told by Democrats and by members of the media that all the questions have been answered, that there's no there. Why are we bothering?
Well, then I haven't been paying enough attention then, because I still don't know who made the decision not to send in, for instance, our military troops who were ready, willing, and able that evening. Who made the decision not to send them in to help our ambassador in the consulate? I still don't know where that decision came from.
All right. Well, Congressman, we greatly appreciate you joining us here today.
My pleasure. Thank you.